right, everyone. Welcome to day number 7 of T-30 event in Ravencoin. Yes. Welcome. So, before we get started, I want to let you all know that everything that's said here by the host, or co-hosts, or speakers is all for entertainment and educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. So, please, just take it as that. With that said, I am your host, Blockchain John, with my co-host, Quothing, and did we lose her? We lost Sunny. No worries, Quothing, I got you. Cool. So with that said, Quothing, let me pass this over to you so you can plug in all the events that are going on in Ravencoin.
Yeah, thanks everybody for showing up when here at the start time. I really do appreciate that. If you put your attention here to the top, we've got a bunch of stuff that's up here. There's some giveaways going on. There's some points that I would like for people to get a little bit of understanding. If you're newer into our community spaces with Ravencoin and you're a little unfamiliar of what this is and what we're doing and what we were talking about tonight, there's going to be a lot of talk, and we're going to keep it as simple as possible. This is not going to be something techy or complicated for people. But we've got an event going on January 8th. If you're into NFTs, there's going to be a big old event. If anybody is familiar with Verbella, if you're in real estate or anything like that, I'm sure you're familiar. We have our own Ravencoin, Ravenverse, if you will, a Ravencoin campus there. And we're going to be doing a big old event, like a flea market where you meet all your favorite NFT artists, where you can link up and get to know them a little bit better. I'm going to be there helping welcome people into Ravencoin and showing folks what's what and helping guide people to create wallets if they haven't done that. We've got this AMC 8 created by the Billion Apes. That's the guys who made my PFP here. They're doing helping do a giveaway. We kind of commissioned them literally a couple days ago into creating some NFTs for the AMC crowd. So we're going to be having a nice little collection built by these guys. I'm very excited to see how that turns out because I think they are hot. We've got some sweet giveaways. I'm doing a Ravencoin, or a little Raven that's one of one. We've got the Mango Farms Asset Wallet, which is a web wallet, and then our white paper. If you guys have not read the Ravencoin white paper, and people don't like reading them because they're boring and there's so much things in them, not this white paper. This thing is hot. Anybody's getting one that wants one. So go on to that by Ravencoin Assets. If you don't have a wallet, then you can go on over there to the Mango Farm, and you can create a wallet there. It takes literally 1 minute, and you guys have got to see this white paper. It is very, very nice. Something we're very proud of. Thank you again for everybody. John, thanks for hosting. Tron, thanks for showing up. That's amazing. I'm so happy to have you, dude.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me here. I'd like to show up for more of them. They're just kind of crazy around Christmas time.
I definitely get it. I do. Life is crazy right now for so many people, and unfortunately we had one or two people that were scheduled up to show up tonight, but family events happen, and I'm not going to be mad at that, but I'm so happy to have you here. My goodness, that is amazing.
All right. The quote of the day: the only thing standing between you and your goals is the bullshit story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. That's a good way to go, man. Always remember that. Don't make excuses. Just get it done. Put every foot forward and keep moving. Keep going. Do not stop. Today's topic, we're talking about AMC and Ravencoin and how Ravencoin can be a big benefit to the AMC community. As you guys all know, there is a massive movement going on with AMC. There's a lot of people that are really doing their best to get AMC, moving forward into the current, into the present, and moving with this revolution that's going on with these big corporate billionaires that are short selling AMC stocks. We want to, as Ravenites, we want to be able to show that we can help with transitioning into crypto and creating their stocks, possibly with Ravencoin. And that's why I invited Tron here today to explain how this transition can happen. So Tron, if you can take a moment and first talk to us, to all the people out here. There's new people in this space. So please, first, can you just take a moment and talk about what Ravencoin is?
Sure. Yeah. So Ravencoin is a code, a copy of Bitcoin code that was kind of reset. So the blockchain was reset after we copied it. We made it. Used the Ravencoin brand. We've sped it up, made the blocks a little bigger, things like that. It was launched on Bitcoin's 9th birthday, and about 11 months after that, the important part was added, which is the ability to create your own assets. And creating your own assets is like creating your own your own token, like a Bitcoin or something like that. But it's not mined into existence. You just get all of them. And when you get them, it costs right now somewhere in the neighborhood of like $50 to create your own token with its own name. You get as many as you want, and the important part is they can't be counterfeited. They're just however many you create, that's how many. The accounting for them is you can audit them at any point in time. This is important. You can see how many what addresses they exist in. You won't necessarily know who owns them, but you would know what addresses, and that sum of all the tokens that you created being in other people's addresses, those are like their accounts. Those should add up to the amount you created, and so that's kind of the important part. What those tokens represent is really up to you. The examples I give are could be an hour worth of your time. It could be a share of a company. It could be tokens that represent something that can be redeemed for, like a gift certificate or gift card or something for something tangible. And then, of course, one thing that's happened quite a bit recently is we also have what's called a unique asset, which is there's only one of them, has a unique name, and those are particularly useful for NFTs, and so that's become really popular.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so as we all know, AMC has been going through this big downfall with short sellers. Tron, can you mute your microphone, please? Thank you. So as you guys all know, AMC has been going through this big, pretty much, their stocks are basically being vaporized in 2020 by big hedge fund managers, massive, like they were just destroying AMC. And there was a small community that later on grew to basically take over this movement that was going on by vaporizing AMC, right? So what they ended up doing was buying AMC at a very affordable price. Of course, great. They were buying them like $4 or $5 a pop. That ended up skyrocketing to somewhat in a few hundreds. I believe it was like $500, more or less, somewhere up there. This is what a community movement does. It's a beautiful thing. They believed in AMC, and AMC did pay off in the end for them. So that's a great thing. Do we have an AMC representative here? Can we get somebody to raise their hand? All right, I'll let you check that out, clothing, as I continue. With AMC, there's a lot of discussion from my understanding. There's some discussion behind the scenes by these now, you can call them new owners, because once you start owning stock, you're basically a partial owner of the company, right? So there's a lot of new people that have bought a lot of stock in AMC and are influencing AMC to start moving, adopting crypto. So they're adopting, they're in the process of adopting, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, yada yada yada. They're doing that, right? I believe the next transition is they want to migrate their stocks on blockchain, specifically for the purpose of what Tron just said, is that you with blockchain, especially like Ravencoin, you create a certain amount and that's all there is. Unlike what's been going on with the market being manipulated, there's a lot of short sellers selling short selling stocks that don't even exist on the market. That's a lot of problems currently on Wall Street. With crypto, that just doesn't exist, right, Tron?
Yeah, one of the advantages is that it settles immediately, right? So it settles, within a minute on Ravencoin, and so with stocks, even though, let's say you're on Schwab or something like that, it appears that, when you buy something, it immediately shows up in your account, but it really doesn't settle for, it used to be 3 days, now it's 2 days. And so there's a little bit of slop. There's the potential for failures to deliver, meaning the other side may not deliver the shares and things like that. Whereas in the crypto world, that just doesn't exist. It's kind of a perfect settlement system.
Perfect. A quote thing. I know that you also been looking at AMC a lot and understand this a lot more than I can imagine, because this rabbit hole goes pretty deep on the history of what the AMC community has been doing. Can you just shine light of this movement? And with I guess from what I understand, it started off with like Wall Street bets and GameStop, and then the transition happened over at AMC, and then now there's this whole ape movement that's going on. That's pretty much their NFT that they're purchasing and showing that this is the community, right? Quoting?
Yeah, I gotta say it's pretty awesome to see people come together in that way, and it feels so synonymous with Ravencoin. There's like this synchronicity that I don't think is exactly realized by some parties of both sides. And so we thought it would be extremely helpful to have this space, because I've heard I've joined in on a few of these spaces that have been thrown out, and I'm a huge fan of Terra, Mark Cahots, of course, and hearing these guys speak. They're so passionate about this whole movement of really coming together and really kind of putting it to these people who are not just, it's not about like a greedy thing of like just them, as in like the stockholders of AMC being hurt. It challenges the integrity. And it challenges the integrity of the idea that everybody has the same opportunity. Everybody has the opportunity for equity in a market. And that's something that I think that it's exactly how the Ravencoin community feels. And to be honest, the whole, correct me if I'm wrong, Tron, but a big reason in why Ravencoin was even created, is that right?
Yeah, I'm not actually 100% certain on that that's why it was created. It was created to be able to handle equities, and it was created, or at least some features or capabilities that we added, specifically restricted assets, were created to handle some of the challenges for creating equities.
Yeah, and somebody who's an equity investor, I owned AMC, I owned GameStop and a few others while this movement started, and I gotta say that it's extremely disheartening, I would say, to see the way that it's been treated and handled by not just by certain individuals, but then you look at the mismanagement and the way that it has been mishandled by groups, and like Tron was saying, the DTCC and the inability, I should say, for them to settle contracts. That ended up hurting a lot of people, and they ended up actually taking away, for anybody who knows, they ended up actually taking away the buy button on any of these traditional exchanges. Most highlightable would be TD Ameritrade, which is probably one of the largest, E-Trade, as well as Robinhood. The buy button was taken away. And I should clarify, John, just for posterity, the stock launched up to around $100 with AMC. GameStop is the one that really rode the rocket.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course, man. And it feels like there's really this opportunity that we can have as a Ravencoin community and the AMC community to come together and kind of break bread with each other, to really help gain some understanding of how this can be done, how it can be fixed, and how there's, I think, equal ideologies to where obviously a lot of us that are inside of Ravencoin are equity investors, and I'm sure a lot of us own AMC. In fact, I know one person in our community who's extremely strong with the apes. And I think it would be only fair that if we opened up the floor for all of us to have a discussion with each other and share with you guys as the AMC community as to what we have to offer with Ravencoin, because it seems as if we value the same things, right? We value the idea of equity, equality, your ability for market participation, nobody being able to take away your buy button. These are things that I think that we can really kind of break ground with and show that we're not playing with this. This is something that really resonates with all of us.
Perfect.
So thanks, John.
Perfect. All right, yeah. You can't get rid of the buy button in crypto, man. Especially when it's decentralized. If it's centralized, I don't know. Maybe that's a possibility, right? But decentralized, exactly what Ravencoin is. Decentralized, open source. You can check the code yourself. It's all there, ready to use. Now, so for the community out there listening right now, live in Twitter Spaces, if you have questions, you guys can go ahead and start requesting to speak. I'll let Quothing manage that. Just remember that we are live streaming on Twitch, and we are going to be recording for YouTube for historical purposes for the Ravencoin community. All right, Tron, I want to ask you a couple questions in regards to AMC and what would happen if AMC took these actions, right? And I'll explain here in a little bit. So let's say that AMC decided to do nothing and not adopt crypto. What do you think would happen?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what's happening right now, right? You see this. So I think GameStop and AMC, the premise is that there are shares that are being borrowed into existence, and that creates additional shares. And when you short shares, you're basically borrowing, selling the shares, taking the money, and then buying the shares back later. And I think the premise behind Wall Street Bets was there's so many shares being borrowed that they're going to have to buy them back eventually, and that creates a short squeeze. So there's two different kinds of shorting. There's shorting shares, which is just borrowing and selling, and then you have to return the shares. And then there's naked short selling, where you haven't really officially borrowed them, or they're borrowed twice, right? So those two potential scenarios, in which case those shares are being sold, and that creates actually more shares being created, which, just simple supply and demand causes the price to drop. Also, when you're shorting something, it's always easier to destroy something than it is to build it up. So any kind of like rumors and things like that, people are sensitive to those kinds of things. You basically have this scenario where people are buying the shares, and they know that, ultimately to settle those shorts, they should have to buy back from the current owners. And so that was kind of the premise behind AMC and GameStop and the Wall Street Bets scenario. That game can kind of continue. One thing, if you did either switch it over to a kind of a blockchain settled scenario, or issued shares that were collected or redeemed, or a dividend for the AMC shares, then the people that are collecting them the people who are short would have to collect them because they borrowed it, would have to collect it on behalf of the actual owners, and it kind of forces potentially forces a settlement, or at least a rational accounting of the shares that exist.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, so that's what that's what would happen if AMC doesn't do anything, take any action on crypto. I think crypto, in my opinion, is going to be one of the biggest benefits for AMC adopting either Ravencoin or another crypto out there. Whatever they do, I think would be in their best interest to adopt that, especially with all the manipulation that's going on the back end with Wall Street. They've pretty much just been thrown into the fire. That's horrible. That's horrible. Okay, so Tron, let me ask you. With NFTs, we all know the Ravenites here. We all know how to create NFTs. They're very easy. Ravencoin the developers have made it so easy to create NFTs. that anybody can do it. It's not really rocket science. It's literally like step 1, step 2, step 3. Pretty easy. There's no smart contracts. These NFTs are actually burned into the layer 1 protocol level. So you don't have what's going on with the whole apes swapping into bananas. You don't have to worry about that. With Ravencoin, it is what it is. You're receiving what you're receiving, and that's all there is. That's a really good thing. So when it comes to AMC distributing NFTs, if they decide to use Ravencoin, what's the benefit on that? And I'm going to continue on going down the list of what Ravencoin has to offer. But for right now, Tron, I want to ask you if AMC decides to utilize NFTs, creating, let's say NFTs for the new Spider-Man movie, the new Batman movie, the new Star Wars movie. I'm guessing this would be more or less like promotional tokens is what I can think of. Actually, Quoting, do you have any other ideas what NFTs can be made with AMC?
Yeah, I think that under the right leadership and the right direction, you're exactly right. Now they'd have to go about like licensing and stuff because there's all of that legality that falls behind it. But I mean, like they just did recently for this quote unquote NFT for their shareholders through the stubs. I have the app. I'm one of those people. You'd be able to actually create unique NFTs, and in the way that I'm doing this 1-of-1 giveaway up there, you'd be able to do something like that for anybody who checked in for a movie. You'd be able to tokenize your popcorn, and on Ravencoin in particular, you could even create a wallet that you could distribute then coupons. You could distribute free things for people's birthdays, and it wouldn't be delivered to your email. It would actually be delivered directly into your wallet, and it wouldn't necessarily have to be a Ravencoin wallet. There's that thing with Raven Rebels. I went over that a few days ago, where all you do is you log in with your email address or with your phone number, and it would show you the assets that you hold. So the consumer wouldn't actually even know, nor would they probably even care. It's just the ability of, boom, here's the barcode with that. Now, boom, you get your free popcorn. So in my mind, that's how I see that being easily accomplished by AMC. When it comes to the NFT side, there'd have to be like agreements and licensing and all of that stuff. But I see that entirely as a possibility.
Sure. Of course, they got to take care of all that stuff. All the paperwork has to be taken care of. Now, Tron, my question to you is regarding NFTs when they're creating these assets on Ravencoin for transparency purposes for the community that does not know what Ravencoin is. How can the Ravencoin blockchain guarantee that there's no fakes out there and these are actually the real ones that are being distributed by AMC?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the advantages of NFTs on Ravencoin specifically is they have to be created under either a root asset or a sub asset. A root asset is just a name in the namespace, so you can think of it like a domain name. So if you went to to a specific website, Facebook.com, for example, there's really only one Facebook, right? So when you go to Facebook.com, you're not too worried about you being kind of routed off to something else, and that's because they own Facebook.com. That because of the domain name system, they purchased that and they've secured that. Built into Ravencoin is a DNS-like registry, and so when you create a token, especially in that root namespace, it costs 500 Raven, which is right now under $50. You don't have to renew it like you do a domain name, so you have that. But once you have it, you can create NFTs underneath that. And so that name is like a brand, right? It's provenance for all the NFTs that you create. And so, that could be, for purposes of an artist, could be the artist name. For purposes of a studio, could be a studio name. But we also have sub-assets. And so, I'll use the model of like a studio, let's say, that has lots of artists under it. You could actually create a root asset with a studio name and then create a sub-asset for each artist within that studio. And then within each of those artists, you could create NFTs under that. And so it creates a provenance from studio to the artist to the NFT. And then you know where they came from. So it's not just sort of a random floating counterfeit-proof token. It's a counterfeit-proof token that you know where it came from. It's where it's derived from. So that's one of the strengths or advantages of NFTs on Ravencoin.
Perfect. Thank you. Now I do see that T0's in here. Is that let's see, T0 Nuntium. Are they affiliated with T0? Are they a representative? Does anyone know? Can we bring them up as a speaker to see how AMC and T0 would be able to partnership to make things happen, if that would be a possibility?
Him up as a speaker if he chose to. I did invite a couple other of you guys that I know that are extremely reputable inside of the AMC space and people who help host spaces with the AMC apes. So if you'd like to, please come on up. We'd love to kind of hear things on your side and where you see things going in here. I'd love nothing more than that.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, I added them, so if they want to join up,
perfect.
Absolutely welcome to.
Thank you. All right, Tron. So there is another feature in Ravencoin that a lot of people don't quite know yet, unless they actually use it. They don't know how it really works. So let's get a little transparency and how this works. And it's restricted assets. And I believe restricted assets would probably be one of the best things that AMC can possibly use to migrate their stock over to the Ravencoin community and create the restricted assets.
Sure, yeah. So restricted assets was a feature that was added kind of after assets were added, and it addresses a particular challenge that you have when you create securities. And one of the challenges you have when you create securities is there's some rules around either for the issuer to either sell them, they need to make sure that they're KYC'd. If they're selling them under an exemption like a Reg D, which says you have to sell them only to accredited investors, then you need to kind of make sure that these assets or these tokens are only moving amongst addresses that or have been KYC. KYC just means that it's know your customer, some banking rules around knowing who is holding value. They don't really apply to, let's say, Bitcoin or Raven because those are commodities. But when you have a security, which is a token that kind of represents, let's say, a share of something that's an investment contract that's all pooled together, that with the expectation of profit that you're selling, you need to make sure that these rules are followed. So restricted assets will only move to addresses that are tagged appropriately, and by appropriately, that's really up to the issuer. But kind of a common example would be a tag that goes to the address that says, "Hey, we've done KYC on this address." That means we've basically collected their name and information and social security number, etc. Or perhaps another tag that says, "Yes, they're accredited," meaning they're allowed to purchase this, under securities laws, etc. You could attach that tag. And then your token, you get to set the rules. And so you could say, oh, they need to be KYC and accredited. Or you could say KYC and accredited or outside the U.S. And that would be another tag, for example. And so, it just gives you the tool set to allow tokens that are only allowed to be moved amongst a subset of addresses. And so that it's kind of built into Ravencoin. Now, most of the tokens that are created, including NFTs and tokens that people create, most of them are not restricted assets, meaning they trade freely. Restricted assets also have the ability for the issuer, meaning the person that created the token, to freeze them in place and put a note of why that's frozen in place, and that's also kind of another requirement for securities. So it's kind of a built-in tool set. If you don't need those tools, you can just do a regular token, and you don't need to worry about it. But if you need those tools, they're there for you.
Perfect. Thank you. JC. It looks like JC has a question. Go ahead.
Hey, John. Thank you for letting me speak, and thanks everybody for showing up. I've listened to a lot of the AMC space meetings, and the thing that I notice is there seems to be a lot of confusion on what's an NFT, what's a security token, and I guess I'd just like to spend maybe a minute kind of giving you my thoughts on some of the confusion there. So like the Spider-Man NFT, I think there's 86,000 being issued by AMC, and that's truly an NFT. Is basically a unique asset distributed to people that bought tickets. They're watching the Spider-Man movie. And by the way, I think those NFTs are going to be.
Whoops, we lost Twitter. Closed down again.
But if you think about it this way, it's not. It's not a unique image. They're all just copies of the same thing. And I think it's important for people to understand that. So there's a difference between an NFT and just a token. And then there's also what we were just talking about, which is a security token, which would be something that it's like a trading the stock in a exchange like T0 or some other exchange that could exist. And it doesn't have to be tied to dividends. You can have a stock and not issue dividends. And on top of that, you could also have a situation where you have a stock and the issuance of dividends. And that is what I believe the people that are trying to hammer the shorts are pushing for. Now, I understand that CEO Adams has already said they can't do the dividend, and I believe that is because of debt obligations. It doesn't mean that technically it's not possible. It's just that they have certain commitments that they can't issue a dividend. But my thought on all of this is that just tokenizing the stock would be a huge step in the right direction. I believe that ultimately all stocks will be tokenized. We're going to see markets full of tokenized stocks, and that's how we're going to be trading stocks in the future. And so getting on early, getting on today, it's going to be huge. And then once that is done, then issuing dividends or issuing NFTs and all that other stuff is going to be a lot easier. So I think that's where I believe that that's where we can unite with AMC. All of the listeners here, if you could follow everybody that is here, and begin listening to AMC conversations and begin explaining wherever we can how Ravencoin and how tokenization can be a huge tool for them, and we're all in pursuit of the same thing. We want fairness, we want transparency, and having things tokenized, having things in the blockchain provides the transparency. That's I guess that's what Cody was saying earlier, is that the spirit of Raven is fairness, is transparency, is empowering the people, and being able to get together and fight against the corporations. And I realize that there's a lot more to it than that. But that's how Bitcoin began, and that's how Ravencoin is following on those steps. So if we get together, I think we can accomplish a lot. It may take a while, but I'm all for it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. RVNFT, did you want to speak? It looks like you were up on stage. Nope. Okay. All right. How about, let's see. Shall we continue? Tron, let me ask you this question. If it's not just AMC that's in the possible works of transitioning into crypto, there's other companies out there that are making that decision as well and working out the legalities. If this were to happen, how would they go about doing this? What companies are working with Ravencoin to help with that migration?
Yeah, I mean, I I can't speak for T0, but I would suggest talking to T0 about it. Yeah, that's as far as working with Ravencoin, you'd have to say, I want to work with Ravencoin. This is what I want to do. But I would probably talk to T0.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding the AMC and Ravencoin migration? If it's going to happen, the Ravencoin community also has to be excited and pumped to do this as well. We all have to work together. We all got to bring that exposure out to the community. We have to let everybody know that Ravencoin is right for AMC, and basically everything what Tron already told us why this is the best blockchain to use.
I got something that's worth hitting on for that. Tron, and you can speak on this, right? Is you can use a voting token that would be distributed by the holder of that AMC token to where everybody would be able to do voting for the company that way, which I think would be not only a huge money saver because of the paperwork that's involved with that literally every single quarter, but also it really brings like the sense of like you truly have that voice because you're able to see where that token was submitted, your vote that was there. And that's one thing that's huge for me is voting governance with Ravencoin. I think that is something that's really amazing. And I think that that's really special.
Perfect.
John must have stepped away there for a sec.
Nope.
Sorry.
I'm here. Yeah, it does have the ability to do voting. It's not a specific feature built in. We talked about adding a feature so that once the vote is finished, the UTX go away. But that isn't necessary for you to be able to do voting. So let's say someone does have has created an equity or a security token and handled all the legal part of it. So you can create another vote token, right, of equal quantity, right? So one per share. And then built into Ravencoin is the ability to send that out pro rata, meaning exactly in the same ratios that the other token is being held at, right? So let's say you had, stock and it's being held and somebody has 10 shares. Let's say there's 1 million shares. Somebody has 10, somebody has 30, somebody has 1,000, that kind of thing. You create the 1 million shares of the vote token, send those out to pro rata, meaning exactly in the same ratios as the security token holders, with instructions to say, send these tokens back. You can send it to this address to vote for, keeping management or for, whatever it is, right? You can create multiple buckets and basically tell them to send to those various addresses based on how they wish to vote. Since those tokens can't be counterfeited, right? Then the vote tokens, it doesn't mean everybody's going to vote. That you can't force someone to vote, but you can have them, send the tokens to the addresses, and the counts will be, instant and basically settled. From the you set a deadline of when the vote has to be in. There'll be a block, number that closes the vote. Everything will be settled within that minute, and then you'd know what the vote is.
It's really profound, Tron, on a lot of different fronts there, because like you said, that's a settlement in 1 minute as far as what that vote, how that ratio of that vote was done, and it would be able to just truly, that it goes to every single person. Because when it goes through email, let's be honest, a lot of people, they're not exactly prompt on their email. I know that I'm not. I'm ashamed to tell you how many unread emails that I have. I do want to take the time to thank some folks for being here, in particular Jonah. If you guys don't see Jonah down there, Jonah Schulman, he did a fantastic article about how AMC could tokenize. And he ran away. How about that? If you guys don't know him, you can link up with me. He works for STO Market. They talk about security tokens. All they do is they help market and they help bring recognition to the space of security tokens. That is extremely valuable that is something that I think everybody should be paying attention to. So if you're not following STO Market, you need to be. And the people who work for them are probably the most fantastic people I've ever met. They all fall under different agnostic senses for their crypto of choice, their flavor, if you will, but provide some really, really knowledgeable and very experienced information. I do want to also thank you, Tara, for showing up here. I think that that's awesome. I think that I don't really know what this space would really mean without somebody like you, because you bring quite the crew of people when you speak. So I am truly grateful for you showing up here. We should have a couple other people in the STO market showing up that may have some input, and we'll be happy to hear from them. And if Tara and anybody else, Spencer, I saw that you were down in the crowd as well. If any of you guys want to speak, please come on up. I'd be happy to hear from you guys.
Yes, please,
Sorry
definitely.
to go on my segue there.
No, yes, please. We should definitely get Tara up here because I just heard about Tara recently, and from what I understand, she's a big AMC bull. Right? She's all about AMC. Now, I want to know from somebody that has a lot of influence and a lot of people following her. I want to know what AMC's vision is and what they're doing. And I'm not talking about just AMC like the company. I'm talking about AMC, the community, the movement. I want to know what's the hype, what's going on. Tara, can I just ask you to come up on stage just to talk about this AMC community and what's been going on and bring it to us, to the Ravencoin community, and talk with us for a moment?
In the meantime, while that's being debated, guys, check out those giveaways at the top. You got to enter in on those. That AMC ape is sick. So it's not that one with the ape. It's actually the one next to it where it says time to enter for the giveaway. That's the ape giveaway. So drop a comment in there. I'll be doing a random drawing. There's a lot of great events going on. So yeah, thank you guys.
All right. It doesn't look like she's available right now. That's okay. We'll continue moving on. Who else was there quoting? Was there anybody else in the pipeline for questions?
No, we missed somebody else who I invited up here, and I think they had to leave. They sent me a message, but yeah.
Did they send you the question?
Unfortunately, not. No.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm pretty much we pretty much discussed everything about what Ravencoin can do. Unless Tron, you want to elaborate on a couple of things?
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah. It's not complicated. It's not difficult. With Ravencoin, it's very easy. Give me a second, JC. It's very easy with Ravencoin. There's no massive amount of smart contracts. It's not so complex that we need to spend hours upon hours. No. Ravencoin is very easy to use. Anybody can jump into this community and utilize the network. It's very easy. That's how it's been since day one. It's not difficult to use. Okay, who do we got here? Swing Trader to Mars. Swing Trader to Mars, welcome.
Hey, thank you. So, as my icon there shows,
Can you speak up just a little bit more? I can't really hear you.
Yes. So I am an AMC bull. What I'm trying to put together that you guys can help me out with is the connection between T0 and Ravencoin, other than that Ravencoin is tradable on the T0 platform. How do those both part of any DO?
It's really difficult to hear you, but I'm putting the pieces together. It sounds like you're asking, what's the connection between Ravencoin and T0? Is that correct?
Yes, and how that would correlate to any STO program that AMC would potentially go forward with.
Oh, good question. I wish we had somebody from T0 up on stage to answer that for us. Not that anybody down below has a name with T0 on it. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that directly because I'm not part of T0. So I apologize. Unless anybody else wants to kind of just give a little insight on that.
Hey, I'll be happy to help with that. So there is no direct relationship between T0 and Ravencoin. I think it's more of an alignment of vision, an alignment of understanding where the market is going. However, something can be said about the origin of both those companies. Overstock has a subsidiary called Medici Ventures, and Medici Ventures was the company that ended up buying what is now T0. That's my understanding, anyhow. And Ravencoin sort of originated within the think tank of Medici Ventures. So there are a lot of people that have, let's say, professional relationships between the various companies. That's Overstock, T0, and Ravencoin, and Medici Ventures, of course. But the other thing, I think, is more of what is the relationship once that token is issued. So let's just talk, again, very simple terms. If you have a Spider-Man NFT that is issued on the Ravencoin blockchain, for example, you could just trade it. You could just sell it to me and I could just sell it to you, or vice versa. We don't need to go through an exchange. We can just do that peer-to-peer. We could also go to one of the Ravencoin Marketplaces. Ravencoin has 7 different marketplaces. You could just list it for sale there, and anybody else can buy it. You don't need to go to T0. But there will be marketplaces like T0 where you could buy and trade Ravencoin assets, and I don't believe that is that doesn't exist at this very moment. But that is the plan. That they will eventually trade those specific Ravencoin assets. If it was the security token itself, then yes, again, T0 is like a marketplace, like a Nasdaq almost, or maybe not a Nasdaq, but an exchange, a broker, if you will. Yeah, a broker, where you say you were issued a number of shares, tokenized shares, and you want to sell them. You just go to T0 and you sell them and you buy them. Now, the thing that I think is important to say or mention is that this is just the beginning of this industry. I believe there will be a lot of other companies like T0, so you shouldn't have to be limited to T0. Eventually, there will be other companies, and there's huge competition for that, pursuing that option. And I think that's good, because then you won't be limited to T0 owning something and saying, well, you can't buy your shares today, or you can't sell your shares for whatever reason. Simply, there will be other options. But the other important reason why this blockchain solution is so good is because part of the problem with this broker saying you can't sell your shares today or you can't buy your shares today is the complication that comes with what they call a T+2 settlement. So in other words, every time you buy or sell stock, it takes about 2 days to settle the transaction. But if you do it on the blockchain, it's essentially instant, and there's always that clear accountability or the clear, I would say, bookkeeping, if you want to call it that way. That everybody, or transparency, everybody can know exactly where things at, and there is no hidden, floating shares or all that kind of stuff. Everybody's gonna know exactly what the numbers are, and that's what eliminates that potential for somebody saying I can't sell shares or I can't buy shares because the settlement is not figured out yet. So does that answer your question?
It does. So basically, from your guys' opinion, Ravencoin would be just another way to handle the STO offering, to do it on specifically the Ravencoin blockchain versus another blockchain. Is that, because I do understand the concept behind the STO and the benefits of it, and
yeah.
subject to that.
That's right. Keep in mind we're a Ravencoin group, so obviously we want to tell you about Ravencoin. But yes, there will be other blockchains that you could use. You could use Ethereum. You could use Poly or some other blockchain out there. And I think the biggest difference is those blockchains are not truly decentralized, meaning there is a government. There's somebody or a group of people that manage them. And if something goes wrong, they could just pull the rug, right? And we've seen that in a few projects. Whereas Ravencoin is decentralized, kind of like Bitcoin. Tron, who is there, the lead developer of Ravencoin, he can't shut down Ravencoin. Nobody can shut down Ravencoin because it's truly decentralized. It's maintained by miners. They're usually gamers, people that have gaming computers. They play games during the day, and at night they're mining Ravencoin, and that's what sustains the network. No one can shut down Ravencoin, just like no one can shut down Bitcoin.
That was very eloquent. Thank you, JC.
Yeah, thank you for explaining.
Perfect.
You want to talk about that newsletter, bro?
How's it going? Yeah, we got a pretty cool newsletter coming every Monday. If you want to laugh, stay informed, or learn anything about security tokens, subscribe to my newsletter. It comes out every Monday, and edition number 38 is coming this week.
How can they get a hold of it?
How can you get a hold of it? Well, is there a way to message everyone in this? I don't think you message everyone in this group individually. You can DM me. I can DM you. I know a quote thing tweeted about it the other day. I tweet about it very frequently, so just keep your eyes peeled on my Twitter. And if you're interested, please DM me. I'm happy to give you a subscription. We just passed 1,750 subscribers, 1,750, about 30% open rate, and it's getting very strong, and we're going to be scaling that heavily in the next year. So super excited, and I'm super passionate about it, and I love writing it.
That's great. Is this on Ravencoin, like a blockchain based NFTs or asset wise?
So basically, the theme is security tokens. So the same technology as Ravencoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they all run on blockchain, but applying the same benefits of blockchain for real world assets. So real estate, equities, debt, all of that, and then applications for real world assets. So I cover everything. But I try to focus on security tokens.
Perfect. Did you cover anything regarding AMC?
I did a couple weeks ago, actually.
Perfect.
Yeah, I talked about how if you shorting, if AMC issued a dividend, it essentially eliminate the naked shorts, because when you issue a dividend, you have to count the number of outstanding shares. So, with the illegal naked shorts, if there's short interest that's greater than the number of shares outstanding, it would essentially force naked shorts to cover their position, therefore increasing the price of the stock. That's kind of what Overstock did with their security token dividend that they issued a little over a year ago, I believe.
Nice.
And that was about 2 or 3 editions ago, but as these things come out, I'm going to be covering as many cool topics as I can.
Good. So these articles, they're not minted as an NFT, correct?
My newsletter is not minted as an NFT. No, I'm thinking about issuing a fun NFT. We're building out the referral program to try to boost the audience. I may do a fun NFT for subscribers. I'm still trying to work out all that. Pretty early stages.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Keep killing it.
All right. Is there anyone else quoting?
I don't see anyone else requesting to speak, but I will say that anyone who has any questions about this, you had some really good questions there, by the way, Swing Trader. I don't want there to feel as if this hesitancy to ask any questions. You could seriously ask the dumbest questions, and we do not care. Tron has literally given the speech of what Ravencoin is 10 billion times, and I'm sure he's happy to do it 10 billion more times. And not to speak for you, Tron, but yeah. And when Tron gets tired of it, I'm happy to carry the load.
Yeah, there's always new people in the space, and it's a lot of education, and love to do it.
Yeah, and I'd like to touch on that a little bit more on that, Swing Trader. You spoke about why and what makes Ravencoin special, and that, what makes a blockchain, right, is that it's a ledger. That's simply what a blockchain is. It's a ledger. It's a perfect kept ledger that's kept through code rather than a person. Unfortunately, many years back, a lot of record was kept by written hand, which is unbelievable to think that that was a thing, but it really was. Then it moved on to now, well, at first it was good management of, I would say, of equities. But then unfortunately, the equity markets grew to an extremely fast rate to where not only companies going public and the equity's ability to be traded, but then there was like hyper trading, like hyper speed trading, where they're using supercomputers to place these trades, and it's decimal points off of each other to make these trades. Well, keeping track of that when it comes to a trusted party, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like the idea that there's somebody who receives that, then says, yes, that's okay. That's not our style. That's not how we roll in Ravencoin. And that's not how, I think, in my opinion, how any blockchain should operate. However, there's plenty of centralized blockchains that do those things. I don't believe that those are the solutions for trading equities or securities. I think that is, same there. I do believe, though, that with Ravencoin, in code we trust. Simply that. The code will do exactly what it is programmed to do. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. There's nobody who gives that thumbs up. I think there's a lot of value in that, and that's something that Ravencoin has to offer. And so I think it's great that we can kind of break bread with each other as a community and really understand how we feel and see we're not that different. We desire the same things. And in fact, I think that we could provide some of that to a lot of you guys. And at least the platform and the place where you can do that. Because it's great to have the Twitter discussions and talk about these things. But it's better to come with a solution of here's how this can be done, rather than just this isn't fair. So, and I want to outreach to all of you guys in the AMC community. If there's anybody who has any questions about it, if there's anybody who has any kind of needs some guidance or clarification, ask away. You can add me. I literally answer DMs all day long. That's what I do. I'm sending out assets all day long. So yeah, I guess I'm going to get off my political soapbox of that. But yeah, that's how I feel.
Awesome quote thing. That's actually a really good way to end it, man. That was awesome. I love it. Love it, man. Let's go ahead and do a plug real quick about all the free NFTs that we're giving away. We're just dumping it all on everyone because it's the holiday season and Santa's coming to your house to give you some free NFTs. Quote thing. Go ahead with all the stuff that we got going on.
Yes. Okay, so the first one that's plugged all the way on the left there, that's one that was made by one of my buddies here. He was part of the Ravencoin and still part of the Ravencoin community. He's kind of working on a different project, but he made these ravens. They're really beautiful, and this one in particular, I called it the Sunrise Raven because it was just so beautiful that it looked like a sunrise. I minted one. It's one of one. I thought that one was too special to make like 50 of or 100 of. And as much as I'd love to give that one away to everybody, there's only one of them. The second one that's there where it says time to enter for the giveaway, you tap on that. We're giving away this ape. I worked with these guys over the past couple days of doing this. This guy literally stayed up all night to make a few of these. And he's going to make a big old collection of the AMC apes. And there's going to be some GME, some costs, and a couple other ones for folks who are interested in that. But I'm going to be giving this one away. So enter that, please. Please, please, please. I threw in a couple others that are up there. There's going to be the Ravencoin Assets one. It's the fourth one from the last there. That is the white paper for Ravencoin. Everybody gets one of those. Anybody and everybody who wants one. So if you don't have a Ravencoin wallet, you can slide over one more tap to the left. That's Mango Farm. He made the easiest web wallet that is the most beautiful and quick interface that I've seen on a crypto wallet. This one is specifically for Ravencoin and for Ravencoin assets, meaning NFTs or just overall different assets for Ravencoin. It will take you 1 minute flat for you to set that puppy up. Once you do that, you're going to really fall in love because we have 6 different marketplaces for NFTs and Ravencoin, 6 that are active. It's fantastic. If you find some artists that you like the one that made my PFP and made those AMC apes, we're going to be doing an event on January 8th. It is 24 hours long on January 8th, where you can meet all of the different artists that are doing these on Ravencoin. There's some really, truly amazing people. One of them requested to speak earlier, RVN RFcJbLKg9rzcmWA3X1STx5y9rjUr5LxZdJ. He literally helps people make NFTs under his asset. It costs you like 50 cents to make an NFT with him. 50 cents. It's unbelievable. He will literally help and guide you through it. I would love to help and guide you through it. So show up on that event on January 8th. That's at the end of this string of spaces that we're doing called T-30, the 30 days up until the halvening of Ravencoin. So make sure, get that there. If you have any questions about it, if you need any assistance with it, please DM me. I literally do this all day long. That's really it for my plugs. Definitely make sure and take the time to check out the rest of those 10 comments because there's some real value in some of them.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tron. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, everybody that's here listening. I appreciate you all.
Tara, what's up? You decided to come up here. What's up, girl?
Hi, guys. Yeah, I just got done at the gym. I was listening in while I was there. I just wanted to come up and say hi. Good job with the call.
Thank you so much for being here. We are supporting you, and this is so much bigger than any one of us. And to have people that have the courage like you to lead and confront what is how it's being pushed back is just really inspiring, at least for me anyway, to see. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's nice of you. Yeah, you guys seem like you're really onto something, and I'm extremely interested in this space. So I appreciate that you guys are sharing information and putting it together. Blockchain John, thank you for putting it out there. I just look forward to more of these calls.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Tara. All right. Well, I mean, do you want to keep going? What do you guys want to do?
I can't hear John if he's speaking currently. Shoot. I'll drop down to listener, and hopefully I can hear you again.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Tara,
She didn't
do
have
you
to.
have any questions, Tara? Oh, she out.
She didn't have to do that. She can speak. Can you guys hear me?
No, I think she said she couldn't hear. I've been cutting in and out too. So.
Okay. Do you guys want her on stage just to talk a little bit, or do you want to wrap it up? Quote thing, Sonny?
I'm here, baby. I mean, if anyone has any questions or likes to come up to speak and would like to say anything on their mind about this, I'd be happy to hear it. But otherwise, let's wrap this up, baby, and have a great night.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me when Tara came up. I was literally in the process of wrapping it up. Perfect. So, with that said, in Ravencoin, there are no kings and queens, no CEOs, no leaders or rulers. Tokenization for the people, by the people. In code, we trust. Thank you, Ravenites. Until next time, stack your Ravenites and hodl. Adios.